Hello YouTube! So over the last year I sometimes made videos of one single province and tell you how they have been doing and how they are doing right now. With now I mean the time of Skyrim, of course, the year 201 of the 4th era. A lot of people have been requesting this kind of video for more of the provinces, so today we take a look at Elsweyr. So without any further ado, let's just immediately take a look at Elsweyr. Because there is so little information on the other provinces except for Skyrim during the year 201 of the 4th era, most that we can do is speculate. But before we can speculate we need some sort of a basis. So what had happened to Elsweyr in the past few years? To understand that we need to go back to the year 5 of the 4th era when the Red Year happened in Morrowind and threw the Empire in even further disarray than it already was. In the years prior, High Chancellor Orkato had been successfully repairing the Empire. But when the Red Year happened, all hope for a quick restoration of order within the Empire vanished. It is in this chaos that both Blackmarsh and Elsweyr ceded from the Empire and became independent. The two kingdoms of Elsweyr, Anaquina and Palatine, decided to form a union, the Elsweyr Confederacy. This confederacy remained a neutral power on Tamriel until the year 98 of the 4th era. It is in this year where the two moons of Nirn, Masser and Secunda, vanished for 2 years in what became known as the Void Nights. While everyone on Tamriel was just enjoying their darker nights, the Khajiit were in complete disarray. The moons affected their entire birth patterns. It even influenced the race of Khajiit that a child Khajiit becomes. So, their entire culture, heck, their entire race was in danger now that the moons seemed just to be gone. Then 2 years later the moons suddenly reappear and the Thalmor quickly take credit for the reappearance, claiming it was their magic that brought back the moons. This wasn't really like a big deal for the rest of Tamriel, most even doubted that it was the Thalmor, but not the Khajiit. Their entire race was saved when the moons returned and they immediately needed someone to project their gratitude upon and to have credit for the moons returning. So to the Khajiit, the Thalmor that just claimed, hey, we brought back the moons, they became heroes. In the coming years, the neutral state of the Elsweyr Confederacy would have a huge sway in public opinion, from the neutral to very pro-Thalmor and anti-Empire. It went so far even that in the year 115 of the 4th era, the Elsweyr Confederacy Union dissolved, and the two kingdoms of Anaquina and Palatine became client states of the Altmerry Dominion. So for all of you who don't play strategy games, a client state means that you basically rule yourself, but all your domestic policy is in your hands, domestic laws are yours, food distribution internally, etc, etc. But your hand in foreign policy, you hand to someone else, so your foreign diplomacy is in the hands of someone else. Your relations with other states are determined by the Dominion. Your army, if requested by the Dominion, has to assist them, no matter what the Khajiit themselves think of it. You have no freedom in foreign policy in any way, but inside your own country you are still autonomous. So, knowing that, we can be kind of sure that the Khajiit participated in the Great War. If not in the initial attack, then surely with the reinforcements, after things started to turn black on the Thalmor. So, how they are doing right now, we simply don't know. I mean, there's a reason why I usually don't make these videos about more of the provinces, because we just know so little about it. But what we do know is that the High Elves view the Khajiit, just like the Bosmer, as lesser beings to themselves, to an even greater degree than the Bosmer. And we know that they hold purges in Valenwood, and well, we don't know any of those purges happening in Elsweyr, and there is a good chance that there are none in Elsweyr, because the Khajiit are still autonomously ruled, because they are a client state, and not a province of the Dominion. But you can bet that there are probably Thalmor operatives in Elsweyr to root out any rebellion against the pro-Thalmor governments. I do think there is some degree of rebellion in Elsweyr, but to a lesser extent than in Valenwood. Valenwood is completely owned by the Dominion in every way, with a complete puppet government, meaning that all decisions it makes are in favor of the High Elves and the Dominion. Meanwhile, in Elsweyr there remains some self-governance, which by the Khajiit themselves, at least domestically. And that means that the government will probably make more decisions in favor of its population, even if the foreign policy is completely in the hands of the Dominion. But still, even though Elsweyr are two kingdoms, Anaquina and Palatine, I think that both are essentially now Thalmor puppets. But we really don't know. There might be one of them or even both of them that they have really a lot of autonomy and just have a lot of say in their own foreign policy. We don't know, because we don't know under what sort of treaty rights the two kingdoms aligned with the Dominion. I suppose we maybe find out in Elder Scrolls 6, maybe in a book or anything, but for now this is basically all that we know. I know it's not much. If you like the music that I used in this video, check out Music for Meditation, the composer of my own little soundtrack. He's really amazing and he makes all sorts of Elder Scrolls but also other fantasy universes inspired music. If you like this video, like, subscribe. If you want to support me in a more personal way, you can support me on Patreon. On there you can even download the soundtrack in a high quality format. And you get a thank you letter, etc. And you immediately get access to all of my Patreon content. If you want personal contact with me, there's my Discord and Instagram in the description. And with that, I will see you in the next lore video, probably in a few days.